The hollow band was gone. Not destroyed dash emptied dot where hundreds of enemy ships once floated. There was now only shattered metal, drifting wreckage, and glowing trails of plasma fading into space. Silence stretched across the sector, not from peace but from shock. The galaxy had never seen war like this. Not from humans, not from Deathworlders on the bridge of TDS Eclipse. Mira lowered her rifle slowly. Blood some alien, some human dried on her suit. Across the glass, she saw what was left of the enemy command vessel breaking apart like glass in slow motion. They're gone, she said quietly. Captain Holt didn't speak. He was watching. The stars. He didn't smile. There was nothing to celebrate. They tried to erase a world, he said finally. They forgot that Earth remembers. In the wreckage, Earth's fleets moved in to recover the bodies of fallen soldiers, human and alien alike. The surviving Threxians were picked up from their hiding places, evacuated with honor, and promised protection. The first one to walk off the shuttle onto Earth soil knelt and touched the ground, whispering something in their native tongue. When asked what it meant, the translator replied softly, "This is the world that remembers." News of what happened spread fast. Across star systems, governments that had once mocked Earth's silence now feared its voice. Some praised the response. Others called it overkill. But one thing was clear: the shadows were real, and Earth faced them first. At the next council meeting, held on neutral ground, Earth didn't wait to be seated. A single Terran representative stood at the center of the great chamber, a recording of the alien creature ship playing behind them. This was allowed to grow in silence, they said. While your laws protected shadows, Earth sent fire. One counselor asked, "You didn't even consult us." The human replied, "You never listened to the scream." Another asked, "What if more threats come?" The human stared directly at them. "Then we will answer again." And with that, Earth walked out alone, but never afraid. Back on Earth, the president visited a quiet chamber hidden deep under Terran command. On the wall were names carved in silver. Names of the Shie, fallen, Deathworlders, scouts, civilians, even the unknown. She placed a hand on the wall. A general stood beside her. "The council's afraid now." She replied, "Good, but fear wasn't our goal." Then what was? Her eyes didn't blink. Remembrance. In a new facility near the edge of Terran space, a monument was raised, a statue of an alien child. Holding a broken beacon, her eyes lifted toward the stars. Underneath, engraved in Terran Standard and Threxian, "We screamed into the dark." Earth screamed back with light. Far from Earth, in a forgotten region of space, a whisper stirred in the void. Something ancient. Something that watched the battle from beyond. Not friend, not enemy. Just waiting. And somewhere in its memory, a new word was carved. Humanity. Not a species to erase, but a species that erases you. Asterisk. Inside the bunker, the lights flickered dimly. The survivors had lived underground for years. Children had grown up without ever seeing the sky. Their technology was old. Food was recycled. Medicine was nearly gone. But their memory, their story had survived. Captain Holt and his team sat across from the alien elder. His name was Vale, and he had once been a historian. His hands trembled as he pulled out a small, cracked device. "This is what's left of our records," he said. He placed the device on the table. A blue hologram flickered to life, showing old images, towers burning, ships crashing, the Threxian, flag torn apart by black steel claws. "They didn't speak," Vale said. "They didn't ask. They just came and destroyed everything." Mira, watching from the side, asked, "What did they look like?" Vale slowly shook his head. "We don't know. They hid their ships inside cloaking fields. Their weapons were too advanced. Our defenses were erased before they could even fire. He paused. They erased us from the stars, but not from history. We stayed alive to tell someone. And now that someone was humanity. Captain Halt transferred the hologram to Earth Command. The AI system scanned it instantly and found something alarming. These attack signatures match nothing in galactic records, the tech officer said, frowning. At one trace deep inside the energy pattern matched something old. Very old, sir, the officer whispered to the president. This energy signal? It matches the Forbidden's tech from the Council War 300 years ago. Tech that was supposed to be destroyed forever. The president narrowed her eyes. Then, someone's been lying for centuries. On the planet, Holt stood outside the bunker as a transport ship landed to evacuate the survivors. But as he watched the sky, he noticed something odd. The clouds above were moving unnaturally, like something large was passing through them. He activated his visor's scan. At first nothing, then a shimmer. Get down, he shouted, diving, just as a blinding red beam smashed into the ground behind him. From the clouds, a cloaked warship appeared, roaring to life. Enemy forces had returned. The Terran team fought back. Mira launched a distress beacon into orbit. Drones scattered to defend the landing site. Holt grabbed a plasma rifle and covered the civilians. One alien fighter jumped from the ship and landed near the bunker. He wasn't like the others. His armor was smooth, black, and strange, almost alive. He aimed at Holt, but paused. You are not like the others, he said through a translator. Holt didn't lower his weapon. Neither are you. The alien tilted his head. Earth was not supposed to find this place. Then you picked the wrong planet to ignore. Holt growled and fired. On Earth, the emergency beacon reached command. The entire room stood still as one line appeared on the main screen. Hostiles. Confirmed. Tech is real. They're watching us now. The president turned to the War Council. We are no longer observers. We are part of this war now. She looked at the fleet marshal. Wake them. He hesitated. You mean the Deathworlder divisions? Yes. All of them. Even the Black Dreadnoughts? Especially the Black Dreadnoughts. Across Earth's orbital rings, hidden in dark space and sealed hangars, warning sirens echoed. Cryopods opened. Weapons unlocked. And in quiet halls beneath the Earth, a massive door opened, revealing the Deathworlder command. Long kept secret. The galaxy had chosen to remain silent, but Earth? Earth had listened, and Earth was about to speak back. With fire and fury. Asterisk far above Earth. The blackness of space shimmered with quiet motion. One by one, hidden gates opened, revealing the sleeping giants of humanity's war machine Deathworlder-class ships, silent for decades, waiting for the call. Now, that call had come. On the orbital platform Cradle 1, a commander walked down. A long hallway lined with pods. Inside each one lay a warrior. Not ordinary soldiers. These were trained on Deathworlds, planets so dangerous that survival alone was a miracle. They were humanity's answer to the galaxy's nightmares. At the end of the hallway, one pod slowly opened. Out stepped Voss, a tall, quiet man with burn scars along his jaw and steel plates under his skin. His eyes didn't blink. They calculated. The officer saluted. You've been reactivated, sir. Orders from Earth High Command. Voss didn't speak. He only asked one question. Who sent the scream? An alien colony. Dying. Forgotten. But someone wanted them erased. Permanently. Coordinates? Already loaded. Voss stepped into the briefing room, where other Deathworlders gathered. One by one they listened as the commander explained. The enemy is unknown. Their weapons are older than most civilizations. They used tech the Galactic Council banned centuries ago. Another soldier leaned forward. And they thought we wouldn't come? No, said Voss. They thought we wouldn't come hard enough. On Earth, massive hangars opened across continents. Ships once sealed beneath oceans and buried in deserts rose into the air. Mechs powered up. War machines roared to life. In orbit, the black dreadnoughts emerged hulking warships, built for one purpose, to break fleets in minutes. Inside one, a voice echoed over the comms. This is TD's retribution. All systems green. Deathworlder battle groups ready for launch. The countdown began. Meanwhile, Captain Holt and Mira were still under fire on Threxia 7. The cloaked enemy ship had retreated, but it left drones behind machines that swarmed the surface like insects, scanning, listening, threatening. Mira dodged. Under fallen rubble. They're not trying to kill us anymore. Holt nodded, panting. They're studying us. What for? To see how we fight, or maybe how far Earth will go. The sky above began to darken, not with clouds, but with incoming ships. At first, just shadows, then light, then a fleet. Voss's dreadnought dropped from orbit like a hammer. He stepped onto the surface of Threxia 7 in full armor, walking through dust and ash toward Holt's position. Captain Holt, he said in a calm voice. Holt looked up, surprised. Reinforcements? Voss replied coldly. No, retaliation. With a hand signal, he ordered his units forward. Mechs stomped across the battlefield. Shock troops formed lines. Railguns activated. Drones in the sky were erased in seconds. Within minutes, the surface was cleared. The survivors stared in awe. Some wept. They had waited 80 years. Now Earth had finally come. Back in deep space, Earth's fleet began to move slow at first, then with purpose. They weren't heading home. They were heading for the toll. Origin point. From the data recovered in the last battle. Coordinates had been traced deep into a starless region known as the Hollow Band. A place so quiet, no ship dared enter. Until now. Inside the President's war chamber, the map displayed the entire operation. Deathworlders would strike first. Fleet would follow, and the message would be loud. She looked at her commanders. We didn't start this, but we'll be the reason it ends. The galaxy had forgotten the name Threxia, but now it would remember something else. The day the skies burned in Earth's name. Above the dying world, Earth's war fleet moved like a metal storm. Hundreds of ships, Deathworlder strike cruisers, railgun platforms, dreadnoughts, orbital mechs, all locked into a single purpose: find the enemy and erase the threat. Captain Holt stood beside Voss on the command deck of TDS Retribution. The screen showed a section of deep space known only as the Hollow Band, a silent region, blank on most maps, avoided even by smugglers. Now it was glowing. A strange distortion appeared just outside the sector, then another. The air on the bridge turned tense. Sensors screamed. A ripple passed through the fleet like static over skin. Then it appeared. A ship. No markings. No lights. No communication. Just there, floating, watching. Voss's voice was calm. Target locked? No response? Holt asked. None. Not even a warning. Earth's High Command sent one message across all channels, translated into every known language. This is the Terran Union. You attacked innocent people. You hid in silence. You erased the truth. Now ... we respond. Seconds later, TDS Retribution fired. The beam hit dead center. The alien vessel shimmered, and for a moment, it seemed to absorb the blast. But then the cloak fell. The ship's real form came into view, twisted metal, black as oil, covered in sharp spines and moving plates. It looked grown, not built. Things screamed, no sound. Just a wave of pressure through every comm. Earth's fleet opened fire. Hundreds of rounds plasma, ion, kinetic tore through space. Drones swarmed from the alien ship, but Earth's fighter units intercepted midair, tearing them down in flashes of red and blue. Voss led the boarding team personally. His gun fired in silent bursts. His armor deflected plasma shots like rain. Behind him, Deathworlders charged in formation, ruthless, coordinated, unstoppable. They broke into the alien ship's interior, and what they saw changed everything. The walls pulsed like veins. The ship wasn't just built, it was alive. It didn't house a crew. It was the crew. Back on Earth, the president watched the battle feed live. She turned to her aide. "Get me the council." "But ma'am, they still haven't replied." "Then knock on their door with a warship." Inside the alien vessel, Holt moved with the boarding team, recording everything. Strange symbols lined the walls. He touched one, and a memory played in his mind. Not his own. Someone else's. A screen, fire, planets falling. He pulled his. Hand away, shaken. "They don't just destroy," he whispered. "They feed on fear, on memory. That's why no one remembered Threxia. That's why the council stayed quiet. These things didn't just kill. They erased." Voss placed a core charge at the ship's heart. The creature ship howled again, as if aware of its fate. But Earth didn't stop. The team evacuated seconds before the core detonated. The ship cracked apart in a thunderous blaze. Followed, but it wasn't over. Earth sensors picked up more distortions in the hollow band. Hundreds of them. Alien ships. Cloaked, waiting. And now. Awake. On the fleet command bridge. Alarms echoed. Mira, now part of Voss's crew, stared at the growing wave of signals. They were watching us the whole time. Voss looked ahead, unshaken. Then they saw how we deal with ghosts. He gave the order, "Call the rest of the fleet." All of it. Asterisk deep inside the hollow band, space trembled. Where there was once silence. Now there were shadows with purpose. Dozens. No hundreds of alien ships began to flicker into view. Their black, jagged forms moved like insects swarming toward light. No beacons, no signals, no demands. Just movement, measured, cold, absolute. On board TDS Retribution, Voss stood like a statue. Mira whispered, "They're not running." "They don't plan to," Voss answered. This wasn't an ambush anymore. It was a test of power. A message from Earth had been sent across the stars, but it was never meant for just one enemy. It was meant for all who had stayed quiet, and now it was being answered. From Earth's core fleets to its deep space dreadnoughts. A command echoed across every ship, every captain, every war code channel. This is not a drill. This is not rescue. This is retribution. Back in the war room on Earth, a tactical AI displayed the enemy spread across a 3D star map. The hollow band lit up like a storm of red. A general leaned forward. "They've been building here for decades, right, under council surveillance." Another officer added, "No communications, no alliances. Just expansion and silence." The president stared at the map. "They didn't want to rule the galaxy," she said quietly. "They wanted to erase it." Inside the fleet, Earth activated its ancient defense protocol. Code Hey LL Wake. It was designed during Earth's darkest years, when survival meant erasing the enemy before they could evolve. It would be used for the first time. At the front. Lines. Voss gave a nod. Deathworlder teams moved to the lead ships. Neck drop pods began loading. Long-range plasma lances activated. Artificial gravity was pulled from several warships, making them faster, deadlier. Captain Holt looked out from the deck of TDS Eclipse. "How many ships do they have?" he asked. "Too many," Myra replied. "And how many do we have?" She smiled faintly. "Enough." Then Earth's reinforcements arrived. Coming from black gates beyond Pluto, the Omega carrier fleet emerged 5 supercarriers, each carrying thousands of Deathworlder soldiers, mech units, and advanced drone swarms. Trailing behind them, the Black Hammer, a ship so massive it was said to carry the fire of a small star. The galaxy had feared this ship. No one thought it would ever leave Earth again. They were wrong. The first wave of alien ships launched forward. Earth's war grid locked on immediately. And for the first time in centuries, humanity's fleets didn't wait. They fired first. The void lit up. Energy beams split the dark, carving holes in enemy ranks. Earth's mechs dropped from orbit, landing with thunderous shocks onto enemy hulls. Deathworlders stormed the black ships, ripping through armor, tearing apart systems. Fighting creatures made of shadow and bone. Holt led one of the strike teams. Inside the enemy vessel, the walls screamed. Every surface reacted like it was alive. "These aren't ships," he muttered. "They're extensions of something bigger." Meanwhile, Voss entered the core of the enemy command ship, a massive structure towering like a cathedral filled with alien pods connected to memory webs. He placed his palm on one. His mind was filled with images: planets wiped, species consumed, history rewritten. The aliens weren't just killing civilizations. They were feeding on their stories, their culture, their existence. And Earth? Earth had the most resistance, the most pain, the most fire. That's why they feared Earth. And that's why they came. Voss stepped back and opened a channel. To Earth Command, the enemy harvests memory and fear. They tried to erase us before we ever arrived. Now we erase them. He activated the Hellwig core. Time froze. The ship around him began to dissolve, vaporized by a pulse that turned matter into dust. Across the battlefield, Earth's code awakened in every Deathworlder vessel. The war signal had been heard. And Earth was now a voice of thunder. Asterisk. In the cold silence of deep space, a small station floated quietly near Earth's outer defense ring. The station, named Listening Post Echo 9, was built to monitor strange signals and threats from the far edges of the galaxy. It rarely picked up anything important, just space dust, static, or signals from faraway traders. But tonight was different. Liam, a young signal operator, sat alone at the console. He was half asleep, sipping cold coffee and watching the blinking screen. Then, something strange happened. A red alert flashed. Unregistered signal detected. He straightened up fast. "That's not from our systems," he whispered, pressing a few buttons to zoom in. The signal was old, weak, but it wasn't just noise. It was a clear distress call. In broken alien code, it repeated the same message. "Help us, please. They are burning our sky. No time. Send anyone, please." Liam stared at it, chills running down his spine. He checked the signal registry. Nothing matched. This species wasn't known, not even in the Galactic database. He called out, "Commander, I've got something you need to hear." Commander Lin entered the room, her face serious as always. Liam replayed the signal. She listened closely, her eyes narrowing. "Where is it coming from?" she asked. "Sector X-93. A dead zone. No known colonies. But the source is moving." Slightly, Lin frowned. "Someone's trying to stay alive." She ordered an emergency link to Earth Command. An hour later, a team of experts joined via secure transmission. They were serious men and women intelligence officers, military analysts, scientists. The signal played again. The room went quiet. "Why is this the only signal received?" one officer asked. "No other station caught it," said Liam. "It's as if it was aimed at us only." Another officer added, "If this was a trap, it's very well made, but Earth had a rule: never ignore a true cry for help." especially not one that sounded real. Earth's AI satellite systems began tracking the origin. Strange results came back. There was a planet in that sector, once marked as Colony Thriceus 7. It had vanished from maps 80 years ago, declared destroyed by a solar flare. But now, the signal came from there. How could someone be alive? Even more strange, no other civilization in the galaxy had reacted. No help, no backup, nothing. It was like everyone else had forgotten this. Place existed. Back at Echo 9, Liam stared out the window. He felt uneasy. This wasn't just a call for help. It was a scream from someone who believed no one would come. Commander Lin said quietly, "Prepare a report. Earth Command will decide our next step by morning." Liam nodded. But even as he worked, a thought wouldn't leave his mind. What if they only sent the signal to Earth? Because they knew we would be the only ones who answered. In a dark room on Earth, the president of the Terran Defense Union watched the signal again. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. "Activate Protocol Dawnfire," she said to the general beside her. The general hesitated. "That's our highest alert level." She nodded. "Someone is testing if Earth still cares. And when Earth cares, Earth responds with fire. Asterisk, the next morning, Earth's skies looked peaceful. But in orbit, things had already begun to move. Terran Defense Union had launched a fast-response scout ship, TDS Raven, one of the few ships that could travel into dead sectors quickly without a full fleet. It carried a small team, just 6 people, but each one trained for danger, survival, and diplomacy. Their mission was simple: find the source of the signal, make contact, report back. But no one really believed it would be that easy. The Raven dropped out of hyperspace near Sector X-93. Before them lay a dark star, barely glowing. Around it, a cold planet spun slowly, its surface gray and cracked, covered in storm clouds and ice. "This doesn't look like any place someone could survive," said Myra, the pilot. The commander of the team, Captain Holt, replied, "That's what makes it worse. Someone is surviving." They scanned for life signs. At first, there was nothing. No cities, no power signals, no ships. But then, double quotes there, under the surface bunker-level heat signatures. "About 80 meters down," said the tech specialist. Captain. Holt nodded. "Bring us in." The ship descended through thick storm clouds and landed near a broken tower that had once been a communication center. They stepped out into the icy wind, wearing heated suits. The ground was cracked, as if something massive had hit it long ago. Near the ruins, they found strange markings, signs of a battle. Blackened metal, scorch marks, burned bones, but they weren't human bones. "These aren't Threxian either," whispered Myra, crouching over the remains. "Too large, too sharp." Something else had come here. As they approached the heat source underground, Holt activated his speaker. "This is a Terran rescue team. We received your signal. We are here to help." At first, silence. Then the ground rumbled. A hatch opened slowly from the cracked earth, and a group of survivors came out, skin pale, eyes wide from years without sunlight. Their leader was old and thin, but his voice was strong. "You heard us?" he asked, stunned. "We did." "And now you're safe," Holt replied. The old alien dropped to his knees. "No one else came. We thought everyone had forgotten us." Inside the bunker, the truth slowly came out. The planet was once a proud colony of a peaceful alien race, the Threxians. 80 years ago, they sent reports of strange disappearances near the edge of their system. Then, one day, their skies caught fire. A fleet came unmarked, silent, brutal. No warning, no demand, just destruction. They attacked orbital defenses, cut communication, and began erasing everything: people, culture, records. It was like someone wanted them erased from history. The last act of the dying colony was to bury a deep bunker and send one final SOS. That signal had floated through space for decades until Echo 9 caught it. Captain Holt sat silently, trying to understand. Why would anyone want to erase a peaceful colony? He asked. The old alien's voice was quiet. Maybe we weren't the target. Maybe we were. A test. Holt's face darkened. A test for what? Back on Earth, the report from Raven reached the Terran Defense Union's highest council. The room fell silent as the full truth became clear. A peaceful species, wiped from records. A signal no one answered except Earth. And now, proof of enemy tech, hidden for decades, possibly used before against others. The president stood slowly. No more silence, no more shadows. She looked at the fleet commander and gave the order. Prepare the Deathworlders.